test, mic test, 1, 2, test mic. Mic test, 1, 2. Test, mic test, mic test, 1, 2, test mic 1, 2, test mic 1, 2.
mahalaga para sa ay mahalaga para sa isa't isa. Maaaring isipin na ang isang uri ng ibon ay pwedeng wala sa likas na tirahan nito. Subalit, kung wala ang ibong ito, dadami ang pesting kinakain nito. Pesting pagkain naman ay palay, lubos na sumisira sa taniman. Pagkalugi sa hanapbuhay ng magsasaka, dulot din ay kakulangan ng bigas sa mga palengke. Kaya kung wala ang ibong ito, paano na ang kabuhayan nila? Paano na ang bigas natin? Kung wala yun, wala nito. Sa mga corals nangingitlog ang iba't ibang isda. Mga bagong isda ay nabubuhay at naninirahan hanggang ganap na lumakas. Sa malinis na karagatan, sila ay lalaki. Mangingisda ay may mga ani sa tamang panahon. Mga isdang aabot sa ating palengke upang tayo ay may isda sa ating hapagkainan. Kung mga corals ay nasisira dahil sa ating mga gawain, paano na ang hanapbuhay nila? Paano na ang isdang pagkain natin? Kung wala yun, wala nito. May mga bundok na malawak ang kagubatan, natirahan na maraming uri ng hayop. Dahil sa likas na ganda, magandang tanawin at pasyalan nito. Nagkakaroon ng hanapbuhay ang mamamayang nakatira sa paligid nito. Kainan, tindahan, tirahan, at kung ano-ano pang mga negosyo. Mahalaga na manatiling maayos ang bundok at kagubatan. Kung ito ay masira at mawalan ng likas na ganda, paano na ang kanilang kabuhayan? Paano na ang ating pasyalan? Kung wala yun, wala nito.
Isang makakalikasang umaga po sa inyong lahat and welcome to the World Wetlands Day 2022 celebration.
We are broadcasting live from the Boracay Wetland Conservation Park in Barangay Balabag, Boracay Island, Malayaklan.
My name is Joyce from the DNR Biodiversity Management Bureau.
And I am Christian Hilito from the Sangguniang Barangay of Barangay Manok-Manok, Boracay Island, your host for today.
Before we get started, we would like to apologize for the delayed telecast due to the sudden power outage.
And Ms. Joyce, to formally start the program, let us pause for a while for the invocation to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم اجمع شامل المسلمين والكريستيان والأمة في مدينة دباو وسلم دائما مجتمعنا هذا بالسلم والأمن والتقدم في بلدنا هذا آمين يا رب العالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise and worship you and give you thanks for all the things you continue to provide for ourselves and our families. Father, we humbly ask for forgiveness for all the times we have offended you, when we forget to acknowledge your presence in the image of our brothers and sisters, and for moments we fail to be good stewards of the blessings you have given us. Continue to guide and protect each one of us, Lord, that we may always walk in the light of your everlasting love and mercy. Grant us, Father, with your comfort in times of distress and with your strength in times of weakness. Bestow upon us your unending grace and healing, that we may in turn become instruments of gentleness and compassion to others. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, with the prayer and the intercession of our Blessed Mother. Amen.
Manama, marantog ka. Warap po ko iling ko'y ko. O Diyos, kahibulungan ka. Busa ikaw lang ang simbahon ko. Busa ikaw lang ang alagaran ko.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
We are now formally starting the 2022 World Wetlands Day celebration, and we are celebrating it along with other member countries around the world.
That's right, Joyce. We are joining 100 plus other nations worldwide in this celebration to raise awareness about the importance of wetlands. But before we proceed, I'd like to ask, what exactly are wetlands? And why are they so important that we need to celebrate them through a global event that we're having now?
Actually, Christian, wetlands, like our venue, the Boracay Wetland Conservation Park, play a vital role in our lives for the environment and all creatures in the planet. We will get to know more about them and appreciate them better as we go through our program.
That's right. And of course, as a Boracaynon, I am elated that the Boracay Wetlands are the highlight of this year's celebration.
So, Christian, without further ado, I am excited as everyone else for this milestone for your wetlands. So, without further ado, let us introduce the special guests for the 2022 World Wetlands Day.
Joining us are the following. Of course, firstly from Boracay 2B System Incorporated Water Supply Manager, Engineer Oliver Absalon. Municipality of Malay Aklan, Acting Vice Mayor Honorable Nino Carlos Kawaling. DNR Assistant Secretary for Field Operations Visayas, ASEC Arley Adorable. DNR Biodiversity Management Bureau OIC Director, Director Natividad Bernardino. DNR 6 Regional Executive Director Livino Duran.
Also joining us live are ARD for Technical Services, Raul Lorilla. Penro Merlin Aborca of Penro Aklan. DNR 6 Planning and Management Division Chief, Ms. Edna Locsin. DNR 6 Enforcement Division Chief, Ms. Jude Melissa Garol. DNR 6 Conservation and Development Division Chief, Mr. Danilo Lorilla.
And of course, from Boracay Interagency Rehabilitation Management Group, General Manager, Sir Martin Jose Valentino Despi.
And the DNR BMB's Caves, Wetlands, and Other Ecosystems Division OIC Chief, Mr. Anson Tagtag.
And of course, joining us virtually are the following: from the Energy Development Corporation, Attorney Alan V. Barcena, Ms. Maria Nancy Ibuna, Mr. Jemson Solatre, Mr. Alex Cheng, Mr. Ronino Gibe, and Solie Aku.
Joining us from the Aboitiz Equity Ventures Incorporated are Mr. David June Santa Ana, Mr. Christopher Camba, Ms. Ana Margarita Hontiveros, Ms. Michelle de Guzman, Ms. Mirabel May Perez, Mr. Yol Colegado, Ms. Maricar Bautista, Ms. Dana Macarilay, Mr. Lloyd Revilla.
And from JG Summit Holdings, we have Ms. Yvonne Purisima Flores, Ms. Elvie Abanilla.
And from the JG Summit Oilfields Corporation, we have Mr. Ralph Joseph Roy, Mr. Nelson Amparo, Mr. Arnel Paklibon, and Ms. Rowena Bandoy.
And of course, we have our Senro, Mr. Rodel Lababit. And ladies and gentlemen, to formally welcome us to the World Wetlands Day 2022 celebration is the one and only Acting Vice Mayor of the Municipality of Malay. Please welcome Honorable Vice Mayor Nino Carlos Kawaling.
Technical problem kasi, naka-technical problem eh.
Oo, wala eh. Walang sound. Walang sound.
Hello, check. Mic check. Hello, good day everyone. Sa atin pong OIC Director Biodiversity Management Bureau, Director Natividad Bernardino. Secretary for Field Operations, ASEC Arley Adorable, sir. To our General Manager, Boracay Interagency Rehabilitation Management Group, Director Martin Jose Valentino Despi, sir. Engineer Oliver Absalon, BTSI Water Supply Manager. Regional Executive Director, Region 6, Livino Duran, sir. To our Assistant Regional Director for Technical Services, Region 6, Raul Lorilla. Our Penro Aklan, Miss Merlin Aborca, ma'am, good morning po. To our Senro, Sir Rodel Lababit. Chief Planning and Management Division, Miss Edna Locsin, ma'am. Miss June Melissa Garol, Chief Enforcement Division, Region 6. Morning po, ma'am. And Mr. Danilo Lorilla, Chief Conservative and Development Division, Region 6. And our OIC Chief, DNR, BMB, Mr. Anson M. Tagtag, Sir, good morning to all the PCTV staff and participants via Zoom, and to all the people of Malay and the whole province of Aklan. May dayad gid nga agahon sa inyo tanan. So today we are celebrating World Wetlands Day in pursuit of mainstreaming the role of wetlands in community and environment protection. Boracay Island and its wetlands can be considered as the greatest example of mainstreaming the role of these bodies of water, since most of these are natural catch basin that in general principle prevents flooding. We are here today to witness the turnover ceremony of Boracay Wetland number 2 and the commemorating the partnership of the Energy Development Corporation and the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, or DNR, in its rehabilitation. On behalf of our acting municipal mayor, Honorable Felibar S. Bautista, and to the people of Malay, and also in my members of my honorable body in the legislative department, the Sangguniang Bayan of Malay, and to our host, Honorable Christian Hilito, sir, and ma'am. Sorry po na I didn't catch up your name. So, good morning din po sa inyo. And welcome po dito sa ating turnover ceremony of our wetland number 2. Thank you very much.
Tapos iwan na lang po yung mic.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So our next speaker is no stranger to this island, for she has served as the General Manager of the Boracay Interagency Rehabilitation Management Group since 2019 before she was given a new assignment as the OIC Director of the DNR Biodiversity Management Bureau. So let us give a round of applause for Director Natividad Bernardino.
Hello, hello. Assistant Secretary Arley Adorable, Honorable Vice Mayor Nino Kawaling, GM, the new GM of the Boracay Interagency Rehabilitation Management Group, and of course, our Regional Executive Director of DNR Region 6, isang Livino Duran, and all his officials here joining us today. Isang makalikasang umaga po sa lahat. At happy World Wetlands Day. It is serendipitous that World Wetlands Day happens to be my first major event and international celebration as OIC Director of the Biodiversity Management Bureau, and the venue happens to be in Boracay Island. Having served as the General Manager of the BIRMG for almost 3 years since 2019, this island paradise, together with its people, has reserved a special place in my heart. I have worked on the ground and personally supervised the rehabilitation of Boracay wetlands. Rehabilitation work is no easy feat. It requires the balance of both toughness and compassion. Law enforcement is tough, especially when people and livelihoods are involved. But when environmental laws are properly enforced, we appreciate its gains in the long run, and we have seen that after 4 years of rehabilitating the island. We appreciate the gains in a more sustainable manner for the common good. This is exactly the tale of the wetlands of Boracay. The rehabilitation process was first met with resistance. But as we do our job through dialogue, negotiations, continuous IEC and law enforcement, we are able to accomplish what needs to be done. Today, we celebrate a feat for Boracay wetlands as we witness the turnover of the Boracay Wetland Conservation Park, formerly Wetland Number 2, from its adopter, the Energy Development Corporation, back to the DNR. After 3.5 years of rehabilitation work, Boracay Wetland Conservation Park now teems with life as an arboretum of native trees, an ecotourism site, and educational center for conservation. EDC's Binhi program, which aims to rescue and protect native threatened tree species, proved to be the perfect match for wetland number 2. I look forward with anticipation and excitement to the next phases of rehabilitation of other Boracay wetlands. I sincerely thank all the personnel and people on the ground who work tirelessly to restore the whole island ecosystem of Boracay. I especially show my gratitude and appreciation to our partners from the private sector. Malakas ang hangin. For helping us rehabilitate Boracay's wetland ecosystem. One, Aboitiz Equity Ventures Incorporated, Boracay 2B System, Engineer Oliver, thank you for coming here. JG Summit Corporation, San Miguel Corporation, and of course, the Energy Development Corporation. The approach we took for the rehabilitation of Boracay wetlands clearly demonstrated the power of collective action among the private sector, government, and local communities for nature rehabilitation. As new director of the Biodiversity Management Bureau, I view this as scalable and replicable in promoting the rehabilitation of degraded wetlands throughout the country. On the other hand, legal instruments are also important to effectively manage and protect our wetlands. Thus, we look forward with anticipation to the passage of the National Wetland Policy through the filing of the National Wetland Conservation Act that will further strengthen and provide proper guidance in the governance of wetland ecosystems. Let us save our wetlands from further degradation and show our love for them through our concrete actions and a better policy implementation for their protection. Happy World Wetlands Day, everyone. Maraming salamat po muli at isang maganda at makalikasang umaga.
Thank you, Director Nati. Indeed, rehabilitation work is no easy feat. But when laws are properly enforced and implemented, we will be able to appreciate its gains in the long run and in a more sustainable manner. As a Boracay noon, Ma'am Nati, abogid nga salamat. To those who have just tuned in, we're broadcasting live from the Boracay Wetland Conservation Park in Barangay Balabag, Boracay Island. And we are live at the community channels of the Paradise Cable TV and Aklan TV. So mayad-ayad gid nga adlaw sa atong mga akyanon.
We are also streaming live on the Facebook pages of Paradise Cable TV, DNR Biodiversity Management Bureau, DNR Western Visayas, and the Energy Development Corporation. Sharing is caring. Please share this live video to your family and friends and use the following hashtags. Hashtag Act for Wetlands and hashtag World Wetlands Day 2022.
That's right, Ms. Joyce. And now, if you're still wondering about wetlands and their importance, watch this video about wetlands to understand and appreciate them more.
Nearly 90% of the world's wetlands have been degraded since the 1700s, and we are losing wetlands 3 times faster than forests. Yet wetlands are critically important ecosystems that contribute to biodiversity, climate mitigation and adaptation, freshwater availability, world economies, and more. It is crucial that we raise national and global awareness about wetlands in order to reverse their rapid loss and encourage actions to conserve and restore them. World Wetlands Day is the ideal time to increase people's understanding of these critically important ecosystems. Celebrated each year on February 2 since 1997, World Wetlands Day also marks the anniversary of the Convention on Wetlands, which was adopted as an international treaty in 1971. In the Philippines, the Presidential Proclamation No. 74 series of 1999 declares the same day of every year as National Wetlands Day. An urgent call to act is the focus of this year's celebration. The theme Wetlands Action for People and Nature is an appeal to invest financial, human, and political capital in order to save the world's wetlands from disappearing altogether and to restore those we have already lost. During this United Nations Decade of Restoration, and by 2030, let's work together to reverse the decline of these life-supporting ecosystems. Value, manage, restore, and of course, love wetlands.
Through this video, we've learned that wetlands are critically important ecosystems that contribute to biodiversity, climate mitigation and adaptation, freshwater availability, world economies, and more. We must act now to raise national and global awareness to save them from rapid loss and encourage actions to conserve and restore them. At this point, let us hear the message of the head of the Boracay Interagency Task Force Secretariat to be delivered by the Assistant Secretary for Field Operations Visayas, ASEC Arley Adorable.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. You, Councilor Christian and Joyce. It's drizzling. Yeah, what a way to celebrate World Wetlands Day. We all know that the rains will always end up into the wetlands. Well, anyway, let me just first acknowledge the people who are important people who are here with us today, starting with the Honorable Nino Carlos Kawaling, the Vice Mayor of the Municipality of Malay, Aklan. The Director of the Biodiversity Management Bureau, Director Nati Bernardino. The Regional Executive Director of Region 6, Red Levino Duran, together with his ARD Raul Lurelia, Penro Aborca, Sandra Rodel, our General Manager of the Boracay Interagency Rehabilitation Management Group, Director Martin Despi, our partners, adapters on this very important projects that are implemented in Boracay. Sa inyong lahat, sa amin, tawag sa amin, Mayang buntag sa amin. I am pitching in for Yusek Ernesto who cannot be here with us because of a personal concern that he has to attend to, very urgent concern. So instead, he told me to read his message in today's celebration, and I'd like to quote, "Isang makakalikasang umaga po sa lahat at Happy World Wetlands Day. As we celebrate World Wetlands Day today, along with 172 other member countries around the world, it is fitting that we put the spotlight on the wetlands of Boracay for this year's celebration. This year's theme, Wetlands Action for People and Nature, highlights the importance of concerted actions in conserving and ensuring the sustainable use of wetlands for human beings, the environment, and all living creatures that depend on it. It is a call to take action for our wetlands and an invitation for a multi-sectoral collaboration to invest financial, human, and political capital to save them from disappearing and restore those that have been degraded. The wetlands of Boracay and their conservation champions set a concrete example on how we can act for our wetlands through collaborative actions with other stakeholders such as the private sector, the local government units, other national government agencies, non-government organizations, local communities, and the academe. At this point, I'd like to thank all those who labored in rehabilitating the wetlands of Boracay and for putting on the foreground their importance. Boracay will not be an island Boracay will not be an island paradise without these wetlands, as they play a crucial role in the island's whole ecosystem, from flood control to source of fresh water for the locals and home of unique biodiversity. My sincerest gratitude as well to our wetland adapters, Aboitiz Equity Ventures Incorporated, Boracay Tubi System Incorporated, Energy Development Corporation, and JG Summit Petrochemical Corporation and San Miguel Corporation for heeding the call and the challenge to augment the government's efforts during the rehabilitation phase of the whole Boracay Island. Thank you for your sincere commitment and efforts to help us. As the wetlands of Boracay undergo different phases of rehabilitation, we are privileged to witness the symbolic turnover of the management of Wetland Number 2, now known as Boracay Wetland Conservation Park, a completed wetland project, from its adopter, the Energy Development Corporation, to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources after 3.5 years of rehabilitation. I am beyond grateful to the management and staff of Energy Development Corporation for transforming this wetland from its almost degraded condition to its present state as an arboretum of native trees, an ecotourism site, and an educational center for conservation. I look forward to more wetland rehabilitation success stories such as this, and capitalize on nature-based solutions such as wetland conservation in our localities for a greener, inclusive, more sustainable, and resilient approach to build back better. Maraming salamat at muli isang makakalikasang umaga sa inyong lahat. Unquote. Thank you again and good morning.
Thank you, Asik Arlie Adorable. Indeed, greater things can be accomplished when we work together. Thank you for helping Boracay be renewed. Thank you for helping us restore our beloved island home. DNR Secretary Roy A. Simatu was on the ground and acted like a gallant general in a battle to rescue and rehabilitate the whole island of Boracay in 2018. He personally supervised and oversaw the whole rehabilitation process until the island was reopened again to welcome back tourists to the new Boracay. Ladies and gentlemen, let us watch the video message of Secretary Simatu for the 2022 World Wetlands Day.
Good morning and happy World Wetlands Day. Today, we join 172 other countries in celebrating World Wetlands Day. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources and the Biodiversity Management Bureau take pride in being at the helm of its Philippine celebration this year. For the first time, World Wetlands Day is being celebrated as a United Nations International Day. The UN General Assembly on August 30, 2021 resolved to establish February 2nd as World Wetlands Day. Wetlands are critically vital ecosystems. They provide food and fresh water and act as a natural defense against flooding. As the kidneys of the earth, they filter water through their vegetation and substrates. They help mitigate climate change and provide healing through their recreational uses. Wetlands are certainly not wastelands. This year's World Wetlands Day theme, Wetlands Action for People and Nature, highlights the importance of concerted actions for the conservation and sustainable use of wetlands for the benefit of humanity, the environment, and biodiversity. Our venue for this year's celebration, the Wetlands of Boracay, is very attuned to this theme. In 2018, we launched the Adopt a Wetland program for Boracay Island, partnering with the business sector to augment the government's efforts in rehabilitating the island. The wetlands of Boracay are now under different phases of rehabilitation thanks to our wetland adapters, the Energy Development Corporation, Aboitiz Equity Ventures Incorporated, and Aboitiz Foundation, Boracay Toby Systems Incorporated, JG Summit Olefins Corporation, and San Miguel Corporation. Today, we will witness the turnover of a completed wetland project from its adapter to the DNR after 3.5 years of rehabilitation. The Energy Development Corporation is turning over the management of Boracay Wetlands Number 2, now known as the Boracay Wetland Conservation Park. This wetland park illustrates the value of multi-sectoral convergence in conservation work. Indeed, we can accomplish more for the environment by working together. I personally witnessed the transformation of this place from a degraded wetland to what it is now, an arboretum of native trees, an ecotourism site, and an educational center for conservation. We commend the Energy Development Corporation for being among the first to respond to the DNR's Adapt a Wetland program. Thank you for your sincere commitment and efforts to restore the glory of one Boracay's wetlands. A win for wetlands is a win for us all. May this inspire us to invest financial, human, and political capital to save our wetlands from disappearing and to restore those that were degraded. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay!
Thank you, Secretary Simatu. Indeed, the wetlands of Boracay serve as a perfect example of a result of concerted actions and multi-sectoral convergence. To tell us about the overview of Boracay wetland rehabilitation is the General Manager of the Boracay Interagency Rehabilitation Management Group. Please welcome Director Martin Jose Valentino Despi.
Hello. Yan. Can I be heard? Malinaw po. Okay. To our Assistant Secretary for Visayas, Asek Arley, magandang umaga po. To our Vice Mayor, Acting Vice Mayor Nino Kawaling. To the Regional Executive Director, Red Livino Duran. And of course, to my General Manager, someone who I have really looked up to, no? GM Nati, and congratulations to your new designation. To our ARD, ARD Raul, magandang umaga po. To all our officials, Penro Merlin, the division chiefs, section chiefs, and to all our participants online. First and foremost, I would like to commend the personnel of the Biodiversity Management Bureau. No, they have been here since yesterday, setting up the place and ensuring that everything would work smoothly. No, however, no, meron tayong mga technical challenges, but BMB has really proven na ang galing nila mag-adapt on the ground. So congratulations for that, BMB. So I was tasked to present about the wetlands in Boracay, but to cope with the lost time, though, I would skip some parts of the presentation. So can I please ask for the presentation to be shared? So this is an overview of the Boracay wetlands rehabilitation. Next slide, please. So this should have been the outline of the presentation, but I would rather skip some parts just to cope up with the lost time. So next, please. So generally, wetlands are areas that are covered with water that serve as catchment basin from other higher places of an area. No. So next slide. Okay, next slide, please. Next. Okay. So in Boracay, we have 9 wetlands, 5 of which have been adopted by corporate partners. For Wetland 2, it's EDC. It's where we are right now. For Wetland 3, it's San Miguel Corporation. For Wetland 4, that's in front of the mall, most probably one of the most popular wetlands in the area. It was adopted by Aboitiz Equity. Wetland number 6, Boracay Tubi Systems. And wetland number 8, JG Summit Petrochemical Corporation. And the other four wetlands, wetland 1, 5, 7, and 9, are under the maintenance and monitoring of our Senro Boracay. Next slide, please. Okay. Next slide. So, prior to the rehabilitation of Boracay wetlands, the fecal coliform monitored in these areas averaged around 96,000 MPN in 2018. But now, we are at almost 60,000 MPN per 100 ml, and we intend to implement activities within the next few months to further improve the water quality in our wetlands. So, next slide, please. Okay. So, these are the general activities conducted in all of our wetlands here in Boracay. So, we had wetland profiling, we had a biodiversity assessment, and adopt a wetland program, just like what we have had with the EDC. We also prepared map of the current status of the wetland overlaid with the status of claims over these wetlands. Because as we know, prior to the intervention of the Boracay Task Force, there are some areas which are claimed by other people. No, so we had settled these issues and concerns. So we also conducted cleanup activities through the DSWD with their Cash for Work program, especially during the rehabilitation phase when the island was closed. No, so as a support to our communities, we conducted Cash for Work program. We also conducted through the MGB. We conducted ground penetrating radar surveys, and of course, we. Yan, medyo umuulan po. So, pero so the show must go on. The stakeholders consultation and coordination with various agencies. No, next slide, please. Yeah. And we also had regular monitoring and maintenance activities, provision of technical assistance, and one of the most important activities, really, the removal of illegal structures within the wetlands and revalidation of the occupants. And of course, now we're having the turnover of wetland number 2. So let's proceed to the last wetland number 2 profile. That's on the last part of the presentation. So just enjoy the photos being flashed. No, ito po yung mga wetlands natin before and after, and what it looks like now. So ito po yung wetland 3 natin, adopted by San Miguel. So this is wetland 4, the one in front of the mall. This is wetland 6. Wetland 7. Wetland 8. Wetland 9. And of course, wetland 2. Can you go back the previous slide? So overall, the area is 7.7 hectares, and it is located here in Barangay Balabag. And it is considered or categorized as a marsh or swampland. Next slide, please. So, okay, medyo lumalakas. Okay. So, dito sa wetland 2, and this is adopted by EDC. So, next slide, please. Yan. So, ito yung mga dating photos ng wetland 2. Next slide. Sige. Alright. So, this is the MOA with the EDC. Please, continue. Yan. Next slide, please. All right, go ahead. Go ahead, please. All right, so ways forward, we still have some other structures to be removed. Completion of the remaining rehabilitation plans, improvement of water quality, and issuance of appropriate management schemes, and transition to the daily activities to DNR filled units. So, next slide, please. So, I think this is the end of my presentation. So, in closing, no, ipinakita ho ng ating rehabilitation program yung epekto ng tuloy-tuloy na pagtutulungan ng gobyerno, ng private sector at ng ating mga mamamayan. So we wish to adopt this in all other places, and hopefully we can have this partnership contagious to all parts of the country. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat at isang maulan na umaga.
Thank you so much po, Director Martin Despi. And in 2018, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources launched the Adopt a Wetland program as one component of the Boracay Rehabilitation Action Plan that endeavors to rehabilitate and restore the island's wetlands through partnerships with private companies pertinent to their corporate social responsibility initiatives. The companies that will present about the Boracay wetland milestones and accomplishments are the ones who responded to DNR's call in 2018 to augment the government's efforts in rehabilitating the island.
The first on our list is the adopter of Wetland Number 4, the Aboitiz Equity Ventures Incorporated and the Aboitiz Foundation. To present the company's accomplishment for Wetland Number 4, now known as the Balabag Wetland Park, is the first Vice President for Corporate External Relations of Aboitiz Equity Ventures Incorporated, Mr. Christopher Camba.
Ninyo Carlos Kawali, Municipality of Malay, Aklan. Director Nati Bernardino, Ma'am, OIC Director of BMB, and our congratulations to you and hope to see you soon again. To Director Livino Duran, Regional Executive Director of DNR Region 6, Director Martin Despi of BIRMG General Manager, our fellow wetland adapters, Boracay 2B Systems, JJ Summit, and EDC. Maayong buntag, kanatong tanan. And I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. Let me begin by thanking the DNR Region 6 and the Biodiversity Management Bureau for giving us, Aboitiz, this opportunity to showcase our group's contributions in helping the government rehabilitate the wetlands of Boracay. As most of you know, we adopted and rehabilitated Wetland Number 4, or locally known as Lake Town, which we now call the Balabag Wetland Park, Wetland 4. So today, we will present the works that we have done so far in the area with the help of the DNR, BMB, DPWH, DOT, TIEZA, DILG, BIRMG, Senro, the province of Aklan, and Barangay Balabag. The Aboitiz Group is strongly committed to support the government's efforts in preserving and rehabilitating our environment. But first, let me give you a brief background of our One Aboitiz sustainability story. It begins with our big why, and that has always been our purpose of driving change for a better world by advancing business and communities, or our ABC. For us, this means being a better managed company, a leader in our industries, and a partner in nation building and in value creation for all our stakeholders. Through 5 generations of living out this ABC promise, we continue to evolve and transform how we operationalize our ABC through the challenges and opportunities of these changing times. And we believe that we can do well by doing good, always making the right long-term decisions that balance the interests of people, planet, and profit. Sustainability is an integral part of the Aboitiz business strategy. We view it not as a cost of doing business, but as a way of doing good business. So the Balabag Wetland Park, Wetland 4 project, falls under our planet sustainability pillar. And we believe that the community's environmental concerns should always be balanced with both its social and economic interests. The Rehabilitation Partnership Project is aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, particularly SDG 3 on good health and well-being, 6 on clean water and sanitation, 13 on climate action, 14 life below water, 15 life on land, and 17 partnerships for the goals. Our group partnership imbibes the value of responsibility towards caring for and promoting a safe, empowered, and sustainable community for the next generation to uphold. So as a quick flashback, we signed the agreement with the DENR, with Secretary Simato and our CEO, Mr. Sabino Boitis, to rehabilitate Wetland 4 on August 13, 2018. And this led us to align our sustainability efforts with DENR's direction to pursue a major environmental initiative beginning with the rehabilitation of the Boracay Island. It was an urgent response to PRRD's call to save Boracay. So after accepting the role to rehabilitate the area, we tapped and engaged the community. We collaborated with the LGU, formed a team of local volunteers for several cleanup efforts, supported organized fora, created awareness on the biodiversity of the island and the importance of wetlands, and drove home the message of caring for the environment, instilling that sense of ownership and responsibility to protect not just Wetland 4, but the whole Boracay Island. Friends, this project has further strengthened alliances and has successfully aligned the group's sustainability philosophy with those of the project beneficiaries. We all realize the importance of this ecosystem and our essential roles delivered in a whole-of-nation fashion in protecting and preserving it. Next slide, please. Next slide. So true to the vision of having an ecologically balanced and sustainable Boracay Island, the project's overall design highlights a low-impact, low-maintenance urban linear park, surrounded by endemic species of plants and trees to rehabilitate the biodiversity. The concept was done in partnership with architect Paulo Alcazaren of PGAA Creative Design, and it includes 3 components. First, recreational, providing alternative venue for walking, jogging, or simply communing with nature. Second, educational, incorporating IEC components and interpretive signs along the boardwalk to create awareness of the importance of wetlands and the environment in general. And lastly, experiential, providing local and tourists opportunities to participate in cleanup, maintenance, protection, and other sustainability-related activities. The park's features include solar-powered lights to save on electricity, aerators and endemic wetland plants to clean and improve the water quality. Over time, we can expect fish and other animals to thrive in the area. Well, as a matter of fact, migratory birds were spotted already on several occasions. Let me now present to you the latest developments and enhancements done in the park. So to date, we have completed and installed the following: construction of pavers, parking area, and perimeter landscaping, installation of solar lamps and uplights, 3D Boracay signage, familiar now on Instagram and Facebook, and 5 aerators, and of course, the planting of vegetation in the whole park. From what used to be brown, gray, smelly area full of garbage, Balabag Wetland Park, Wetland 4, is now green and clean. When we adopted this wetland, it was a dumping area for garbage with only few trees. Or what was, mentioned earlier by Secretary Simato, it was a wasteland. It was not safe for walking as it was muddy and uneven. As we progress with the rehabilitation, as we work on bringing back its natural vegetation, we are happy to see that its biodiversity is slowly becoming more alive and healthy. From once a degraded area, it has become a conducive place for people to walk around and habitable for fish, birds, and other animals. The next slides will show you the before and after photos of the project area. First, this is the area fronting D Mall, where the Activity Community Center is situated. This is where community events, expos, and night markets can now be held. It showcases the park in the background. Several Love Boracay Sustainability Week events were held here already. Second, this side, we believe the unchecked construction of illegal structures in the wetlands resulted to disturbed and destroyed vegetation and the marine ecosystem. But for wetland number 4, this is no longer the case. We have been able to fully convert this area into a park with lush vegetation. We've worked closely with BMB in choosing the right species of plants and trees that would thrive together with those already existing in the area. In this side of the wetland, we also constructed a dedicated multi-use space that is safe to be used for parking or loading and unloading zones or for small community events, integrated into the design so as not to disrupt or disturb the vegetation moving forward. After a year of rehabilitation, we can now see plants, flowers, trees thriving and continuing to grow. Here is a sighting of 2 egret birds, the insect image, foraging and resting in the area. We are thankful to the leadership of Secretary Roy Simato, the support of the whole DENR, BNB, and Red Toto Milia, and the help and assistance of the BIRMG, headed by the outgoing GM, Ma'am Nati Bernardino, also Senro Rodel, Ramil, and Joanette. They all have made our work and the implementation of this project easier, especially since we don't have our own team in Boracay, as we don't have any business operations in the island or nearby. So thank you to all of you. To end, everyone's collaboration efforts to make this project happen is our gift to the environment and the community. We are scheduled to turn over the entire Balabag Wetland Park middle of this year, when the last component, the plaza, will be completed sometime in June. The turnover is certainly an exciting event that we all can look forward to. I hope to see you all there when this happens. One of the highlights of this project is seeing how the efforts of the government and the local community were complemented by the various initiatives of the private sector and other stakeholders. The rehabilitation of Boracay Wetland showcased how a whole-of-nation approach can lead to a more inclusive way of instilling change in the community. And DNR started that. These collaborations to improve the wetlands are not only limited to rehabilitating them, but also in promoting and ensuring the sustainable development of the whole island. And with this, the wetlands of Boracay have now been given the care and attention they so deserve as a possible source of economic activity, as a pillar of tourism, and as an integral part of human life and natural coexistence of the local community. Thank you once again to Secretary Roy Simato and the DNR for giving us the opportunity to be part of history. The Aboitiz Group is one with you in driving the message that developments can be carried on sustainably. So please watch this video that the team created for the wetland celebration. Good morning once again. Thank you, and back to you, hosts.
Thank you, Sir Christopher Kamba, of course, to such a commitment and dedication to DNR's call. And ladies and gentlemen, it's actually pouring at the moment. We're all wet. Everyone's actually on their feet right now looking for a shade just to hide from the rain. But of course, since this is a wetland celebration, the show must go on. Next on our list is the adapter for Boracay Wetland number 6, the Boracay 2B System Incorporated, or the BTSI. To present the accomplishment of BTSI for Wetland number 6 is the Water Supply Manager for Boracay 2B System Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Engineer Oliver Absalon.
Hello. Okay. Thank you, Kagawad. Okay. First and for all, I would like to say thank you to DNR and to the management of BIETF, especially to Ma'am Nati, Senro Rodel, and also I would like to mention the names Asik Arlie, Vice Mayor Kawaling, Sir Livino Duran, and Ma'am Penro Aborca. Thank you very much for inviting BTSI to this World Wetlands Day 2022. Okay, to start the presentation, I think I have a slideshow. Okay. Okay, thank you. Today I will be presenting all about the status report of BTSI on what is being done during the during the rehabilitation effort way back 2018 to present. Hello. Up to present. Next slide, please. Okay. On the slide presented is the project milestone execution on how BTSI got the project being adopted and how the project goes along the way as the time goes. Okay. The MOA was signed way back 2018 during closure. And to give an idea, actually BTSI is the first private corporation or private corporation here in Boracay Island who first adopted a wetland. So we adopted the wetland number 6 way back. That's 2018. And after that, we started the planting of mangrove. We already planted more than 2,500. Even the adoption of BTSI, we already started the planting of the mangrove. And February 2019, we get, because the rehabilitation composed of the cleanup, the planting, and we have the construction part of the rehabilitation. And until 2019, we get our bidding process, and the contractor get awarded this 2019. So we start the formal construction. We remove as early as March after the awarding of the contract. We remove the debris left by the informal settlers. They remove the coco lumbers, the GI sheets, and they let the concrete be left on the area. So we mobilize a backhoe to demolish the, actually as seen on the photo, existing septic tanks. So that's how they devastate the whole of wetland number 6. So after that, we constructed the phase 1 of the project right after the clearing of the area. So we finished the phase 1 after a year, and we proceed with a phase 2 construction of the boardwalk, as you can see on the presented pictures. And actually, after this pandemic, during the pandemic, we ceased the operation of the construction because of actually lack of construction workers that is available, and no construction worker during those times is allowed to work. Okay, next slide. Okay, thank you. As you can see in the pictures, this is the actual schematic diagram of the whole approach to be done on wetland number 6. As you can see on the blue-colored pathwalk and plaza, that is the phase 1. It's actually present on site right now. And we have also the phase 2A and the phase 2B. It's also done. We are supposed to start the phase 3 actually more than a year ago, but because of this pandemic, we stopped. And of course, the lack of funding, because the BTSI is also dependent on the funds, on the revenue of the water utility in providing or continuing the construction in this area. But still, because of the special MOA that we have with the DNR, we still continue to adopt and continue the rehabilitation on this side. We are still working with DNR, especially right now. The DNR is on status of fencing the wetland number 6, and we are working hand in hand with them, especially on the identification of the boundaries and the meets and bounds, together with another, I think, another project by the province in that area. So we are still in touch with this project, and from time to time, because of this pandemic, we are still on the process. Actually, right now, we are on the project of purchasing a mangroves for an area which is vacant to be planted. Okay, next slide. Okay, on this slide, I will be showing some pictures on wetland number 6. Actually, these are the accomplishment pictures taken a few years ago. Next slide, please. Okay. Actually, that was 2018 or 2019 World Wetland Day. We celebrate the World Wetland Day on wetland number 6. That's the time, and we planted also mangroves in that area. Next slide. Okay. These are actually the students from Balabag and Manok-Manok Elementary Schools who joined the World Wetland Day last 2019. We planted mangroves, almost 1,000 of these we planted in that day. Next slide. Okay, a shown zoom picture of how we demolished the structure left by the informal settlers. As you can see, septic tanks and other debris, it was first removed, and we start then the rehabilitation. As I remember, almost, I think 300 to 500 square meter of the lot being encroached and backfilled by the informal settlers, but we removed those during that first operation of the construction. Next slide, please. Some more. Next slide, please. Okay, this is a big picture of phase 1, which is 100% right now. As you can see in the picture, parang walang mangrove pa on the sides, but actually, there's, as you can see on the site, if you go there, kung pabayaan mo talaga yung area, the mangrove will still return on itself. Self-healing. Okay, they call it. Next slide. Okay. picture of the phase 2, phase 2A and phase 2B of the project. Next slide, please. Okay. Actually, to hopefully this pandemic will stop this year and we can proceed with the next phase 3. Actually, the target of the construction is to proceed with the connection of the wetland number 6 to the boardwalk of the Tanyan Key on the other side, because it's actually a sister company of the VTSI. Next slide, please. Okay, the latest. This is the latest picture of wetland number 6. On the phase 1, as you can see, the mangroves on the side have grown for 2 years, and we planted on the other side the picture. That's the mangrove we planted, so it's grown by now. And as you can see, there are some spaces gap. We are planning in the office to purchase another one and have it scheduled to have the tree planting again. Okay, next slide. Okay, thank you very much. We are assuring that BTSI is still in touch with the rehabilitation of wetland number 6, because as per the MOA, we have no deadline on the rehabilitation, but we are working on that. Still, we are committed to plant more mangroves in that area. We had talks before that it will be named under the son of Lucio Tan, but we are also on the stage of that. And we are appealing to the Macro Asia to give additional budget for additional rehabilitation of this wetland number 6. And to end, thank you very much to the DNR people for inviting us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Oliver Absalon. So indeed, we are having a very wet World Wetlands Day celebration here at the Boracay Wetland Conservation Park. So, of course, as you have mentioned, Christian, a while ago, the show must go on. So for our third presenter is the adopter for Boracay Wetland number 8, JG Summit Olefins Corporation, formerly known as JG Summit Petrochemical Corporation. So to present the accomplishment of the JG Summit Olefins Corporation for Wetland number 8 rehabilitation is the team lead for the Boracay Wetland 8 Rehab, Mr. Ray Nelson Amparo.
Gandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Binabati ng magandang umaga si Secretary Simatu, ang ating mga kaibigan sa Boracay, si Madam Nati, ang ating pong bagong direktor ng BMB. Ganon din po sa mga kasamahan namin na nandito, si Vice Mayor po ng Boracay, magandang umaga po, sa lahat pong mga kumpanya at adopters ng mga wetlands sa Boracay. Good morning po sa inyo lahat. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Okay. Para sa atong Kagban Bobon, sa DAP Wetland Project, it is JG Summit's reply to the government's call to help in the rehabilitation and promotion of ecological sustainability in the island of Boracay in Aklan last 2019. We adopted wetland number 8, a 1.8 hectare swamp and marshland area located in Barangay Manok-Manok and consisting of 2 sites. Originally, wetland number 8, it's more than 5 hectares, but we were only 1.8 hectares lang ang workable area, so yun lang ang na-adapt namin. divided into two sites. One is 1.2 hectares and the other is 0.6 hectares. The MOA was signed by the DNR, represented by Secretary Roy Simatu. Next slide, please. Yeah, the MOA was signed by MOA was signed by Secretary Simatu and our and JG Summit Olefins Corporation, represented by our President and CEO, Mr. Patrick Henry Sigo, in July 2019. It was witnessed by DNR Biodiversity Management Bureau Director Crisanta Marlene Rodriguez and JG SOC's SVP for Government Affairs and Special Projects, Mr. Marino Agbayani. JG SOC's CEO Patrick Go stressed that the government and the private sector must work together to protect and preserve our planet and the environment. Next slide, please. Our first initiative for the adopted wetland was to install fencing for the entire area to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of the wetland. It was also to prevent unauthorized activities like illegal occupation and construction, cutting, harvesting, and dumping of waste. Next slide, please. We then conducted information drives, particularly for the residents of the barangay covering the said wetland. We also conducted these IECs amongst students and teachers from 12 different schools and other community organizations in the area who worked with us in achieving and realizing these goals. Next slide, please. Since the adoption of the wetland, we have conducted numerous tree planting activities in coordination with the assistance of students, teachers, government offices like the PNP and AFP personnel in the area, and different NGOs and civic organizations. As of this date, we have planted some 915 seedlings consisting of different species of plants and trees, but mostly mangrove seedlings. Next slide, please. Since we've put up a tree nursery in the area, we have been donating seedlings to the Senro in Boracay, the LGU and the Manok-Manok Barangay, the PNP, and other civic organizations for the conduct of their own tree planting activities in the area. A total of some 16,000 seedlings grown from our nursery located in Batangas were donated. This consisted of various species of plants, fruit-bearing trees, and mangrove seedlings. We also collected, next slide please. We also collected a total of almost 71,000 kilos of trash, waste, and debris in the area with the conduct of cleaning and clearing activities. We sought the help and assistance of various government and non-government groups for the cleanup drives. We hope to focus on and truly sustain this particular activity because it is vital in making the area sustainable. Next slide, please. To further engage the students and the youth in helping us sustain and protect the wetland, we held a poster making contest in the area. It was participated in by students from 5 different schools and 18 posters were submitted. These were displayed in the wetland to further inspire and inform students and the youth of the importance of ecological preservation and protection. Next slide, please. We also conducted an essay writing contest among the students from 5 different schools. A total of 15 entries were submitted. This was conducted during the celebration of World Wetland Day in the year 2020. Next slide, please. For our goals this year, 2022, we plan to fully maintain our nursery, which as of this date, houses some 4,000 seedlings. We aim to sustain and continue our rehabilitation of wetland number 8 through more extensive cleanup and information drives, triple or quadruple the number of tree planting activities, and continue to coordinate with the stakeholders involved. We also plan to set up markers and educational signages so that more will be informed of the purpose and significance of this project that we have undertaken. We also want to engage tourists visiting the island by making them aware of our project and to encourage them to contribute in the rehabilitation by participating in cleanup drives or tree planting and other related activities. Before I end our presentation, I'd just like to say, mahal po at kagaya rin po ng mga ibang kumpanyang naririto na nag-adapt ng wetland, mahal po ng JG Summit ang Boracay, mahal po ng JG Summit ang bansang Pilipinas. Mabuhay po tayong lahat. Salamat po.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Ray Nelson Amparo, for sharing with us the rehabilitation and future plans for Boracay Wetland number 8. We are very excited about what's in store for it.
Yes, partner. So the Energy Development Corporation has been a long-term partner of the DENR in terms of environmental and biodiversity conservation. EDC's Binhi program, which aims to rescue and protect native threatened tree species, is the right match for the rehabilitation objectives for wetland number 2. To present the milestones and rehabilitation achievements of the Energy Development Corporation, let's watch this video.
Thank you very much, EDC, for that presentation. We are now on the much-awaited part of the program, the turnover ceremony of the Boracay Wetland Conservation Park from its adapter, the Energy Development Corporation to the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. This time, let's hear from Attorney Alan Barcena, the Assistant Vice President and Head of the EDC's Corporate Social Responsibility.
We thank the DNR for the opportunity to work on the Boracay Wetland Conservation Project. Developing Boracay Wetland Number 2 was not easy. When we took over the project in 2018, the wetland was like a big dump site, full of garbage. There were also informal settlers within the area. So the first thing we did was to clean it up and restore the area by planting 250 indigenous trees. We also developed an arboretum, or tree park, inside the wetland, which included ecological pathwalk, bird watching platform, an information center where visitors can learn more about the wetland conservation and restoration. In addition to the arboretum, we also published a guidebook featuring the native plants of Boracay wetlands. This publication contains 120 species of plants and trees, which can be used to rehabilitate the wetlands of Boracay. Most of these trees are part of our Binhi program, where we protect and propagate the threatened indigenous species of the Philippines. As we turn over the project to the DNR, we hope that it will be maintained and even enhanced. We may no longer be part of the project, but we will continue to support it in whatever way we can. We congratulate the DNR through the leadership of Secretary Rui Simatu for the successful rehabilitation of Boracay Island and its wetlands. Congratulations to DNR and more power.
Thank you, Attorney Barcena and the Energy Development Corporation for the years of outstanding stewardship of Wetlands Number 2.
All right, so at this point, we have up front or on stage our OIC Chief of the Caves, Wetlands and Other Ecosystems Division of DNR BMB, Mr. Anson Tagtag, and DNR 6 Regional Executive Director, Red Levino Doran. Mr. Anson Tagtag will hand over the symbolic key of responsibility for Boracay Wetland Conservation Park on behalf of the Energy Development Corporation. As the management of Boracay Wetland Conservation Park is turned over to the Department of Natural Resources, the DNR commits to sustain what the EDC has started, which will help advance and conservation and protection of Boracay wetlands through increased awareness and appreciation.
Let us now hear the message of acceptance from Red Levino Duran.
Good noon to everyone. Of course, to our Honorable Secretary, Roy Isi Mato, our Undersecretary, John Adobo Jr., of course, our Assistant Secretary for Field Operations, Sir Arlie Adorable, Vice Mayor Nino Kawaling, our General Manager BIERMG, now the Director of the Biodiversity Management Bureau, my partner, the beauteous J.M. Bernardino. Of course, the incoming General Manager of the BIERMG, Martin Dispi, E.R.D. Raol, Engineer Absalon, Pinronining, our Chief of the Planning and Management Division, of course, our Chief of the Enforcement Division, our Chief of the CDD, of course, Sinro Rodil, mga kasama sa Department of Environment and Natural Resources, my colleagues in government, as well as those joining us virtually. Ang aking long-time partner, the Assistant Vice or the President of EDC, Attorney Alan Barsina. Nakita pa rin tayo kahit ikaw ay nasa virtual. Of course, Aboitis, DJ Summit, BTSI, Engineer Absalon, our partners in the development and restoration of our wetlands in Boracay Island. Of course, ang ating mga local partners dito sa Boracay. On behalf of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, this representation in his capacity as the Regional Executive Director of DNR Region 6 hereby accepts with much gratitude and great appreciation the restored Boracay Wetland Number 2 from our partner, the Energy Development Corporation, Attorney Alan Barsina. Thank you very much for that. Today, February 22, 2022, meaning 2/2/22. This is very timely and coincidental with the 4/2s. And the celebration of the World Wetlands Day 2022 with the theme Wetlands Action for People and Nature. Thank you again, Energy Development Corporation. We have recovered wetland number 2, one of the important wetland ecosystems in Boracay Island. Of course, with the new ecotourism attractions, and this will serve as a learning laboratory, arboretum, for environmental enthusiasts and environmental practitioners. This is a manifestation of responsible partnership between government and the private sector, which resulted to what wetland number 2 has become now, expressed in and affirmed by the positive message that together we can rise above the challenges of the times. Maraming salamat again, EDC, at sa lahat ng ating partners sa ating mga wetlands dito sa Boracay Island. At this point, I want to join everyone to embrace the theme of this year's World Wetlands Day celebration and continue to take the actions to ensure the conservation and sustainable use of the wetlands for humans and planetary health. At this digital era, and with the COVID pandemic that will visit us, you can still help and influence others by sharing what we know about the important ecological, economic, and even the social values of wetlands through our social media and other platforms. Maybe we can begin with this hashtag. Hashtag Act for Wetlands. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, with all the member agencies of the BIATF, take pride of the rehabilitation and restoration of Boracay Island as a whole. What we did for the island is considered as the new yardstick and standard for managing the fragile ecosystem like Boracay Island. Yes, the rehabilitation has been very costly, not only on the part of the government, but likewise with all the sectors affected, who also have to do sacrifices in order to cooperate and support the rehabilitation and restoration program. But it is our hope that we are all happy and inspired with all the visible outputs and outcomes, even as we anticipate for the full completion of the rehabilitation and restoration program this coming June 2022. We continue to advocate vigilance, active participation, support, and cooperation of everyone to protect and sustain what we have accomplished for our Paradise Island in Region 6. Magkapit-bisig po tayong lahat for a better and environment-friendly Boracay Island. Following the presentation of the G Summit, BTSI, and Aboitis a while ago, I would like to pose this challenge. Could we make these wetlands swimmable prior to the turnover in the next 6 months? Iiwan ko po yung challenge sa inyo. Again, happy 2022 World Wetlands Day to everyone. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay po tayong lahat and keep safe.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Red Livino Duran. At yun nga po, tayo ay nandito sa Boracay Wetland Conservation Park and the sun is shining once again, giving hope. Para it symbolizes hope for the wetlands of Boracay. So ladies and gentlemen, we have just witnessed a momentous event for the Boracay Wetland number 2, now officially known as the Boracay Wetland Conservation Park. We can't wait to see the next phases of rehabilitation of other Boracay wetlands. On behalf of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, we sincerely thank everyone who has been part of this collective action to restore the whole island ecosystems of Boracay. And we are also especially thankful to our partners from the private sector for helping us rehabilitate Boracay's wetland ecosystem. Simulan po natin sa Aboitis Equity Ventures Incorporated, Boracay 2B System Incorporated, JG Summit Oilfields Corporation, San Miguel Corporation, and of course, the Energy Development Corporation.
Once again, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. The sun is back. It's all shining all together for this very momentous celebration. At syempre, we are very thankful and heartfelt thanks and gratitude to all who made the 2022 World Wetlands Day celebration possible. The Paradise Cable Television Network Incorporated, Aklan Cable TV, the Boracay Interagency Resource Management Group, Senro Boracay, Pendro Aklan, and the DNR Regional Office 6.
Indeed, World Wetlands Day is an invitation for us to value, manage, restore, and love our wetlands. Not just today, not just every February 2, but every single day. So this has been Joyce of the DNR Biodiversity Management Bureau.
And yours truly, Christian Hilito of the Sangguniang Barangay of Barangay Manok-Manok, Boracay Island, greeting you once again, a happy World Wetlands Day!
In a happy home was a king that had a golden throne. Those days are gone, memories on the wall. I still hear the song, the places that I was born.
Muli po, maraming salamat po sa lahat po ng dumalo despite the rain. Tayo po ay sama-sama para mag-celebrate ng World Wetlands Day at para po sa next part of our program, yung mga ating pong participants or ating mga special guests, tayo po ay may reception doon po sa Astoria Current. So makita-kita po tayo doon. See you po in a while.
Nearly 90% of the world's wetlands have been degraded since the 1700s, and we are losing wetlands 3 times faster than forests. Yet wetlands are critically important ecosystems that contribute to biodiversity, climate mitigation and adaptation, freshwater availability, world economies, and more. It is crucial that we raise national and global awareness about wetlands in order to reverse their rapid loss and encourage actions to conserve and restore them. World Wetlands Day is the ideal time to increase people's understanding of these critically important ecosystems. Celebrated each year on February 2 since 1997, World Wetlands Day also marks the anniversary of the Convention on Wetlands, which was adopted as an international treaty in 1971. In the Philippines, the Presidential Proclamation No. 74 series of 1999 declares the same day of every year as National Wetlands Day. An urgent call to act is the focus of this year's celebration. The theme Wetlands Action for People and Nature is an appeal to invest financial, human, and political capital in order to save the world's wetlands from disappearing altogether and to restore those we have already lost. During this United Nations Decade of Restoration, and by 2030, let's work together to reverse the decline of these life-supporting ecosystems. Value, manage, restore, and of course, love wetlands.
Boracay Rehabilitation per Executive Order No. 53 and the creation of Boracay Interagency Task Force. Boracay Action Plan Thematic No. 3 Rehabilitation and Recovery of Ecosystem. Wetlands, an area of land that is saturated with water, either permanently or seasonally. Types of wetlands in Boracay Island. Marsh, a type of wetland ecosystem that is often dominated by grasses, rushes, or weeds. Swamp, a wetland ecosystem characterized by mineral soils with poor drainage and by plant life dominated by trees. Pond, a pond is an area filled with water, either natural or artificial, that is smaller than a lake. Lagoon. A lagoon is a shallow body of water that may have an opening to a larger body of water, but is also protected from it by a sandbar or coral reef. Let's have a virtual tour on Boracay Wetlands. This is BIATF performance to recover what has been degraded in this ecosystem. Wetland number 1, located at Barangay Yapak, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 4.8071 hectares. Type of wetland: marsh, swamp, pond. Wetland number 1 is continuously being monitored by the DENR. Wetland number 2, Boracay Wetland Conservation Park, located at Sitio Pinaungon, Barangay Balabag, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 7.7869 hectares. Type of wetland: marsh, swamp. Wetland number 2 is continuously rehabilitated and developed through the joint efforts of DENR and Energy Development Corporation. Wetland number 3, located at Sitio Bulabog, Barangay Balabag, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 1.2183 hectares. Type of wetland: lagoon, creek. Wetland number 3 is continuously rehabilitated through the joint efforts of DENR and San Miguel Corporation. Wetland number 4, Balabag Wetland Park. Located in front of D-Mall, Barangay Balabag, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 0.9883 hectares. Type of wetland: lagoon, pond. Wetland number 4 is continuously rehabilitated and developed through the joint efforts of DENR and Aboitiz Equity and Ventures Incorporated and Aboitiz Foundation Incorporated. Wetland number 5, located at Sitio Mangayan, Barangay Manok-Manok, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 1.1721 hectares. Wetland number 5 has been reclaimed with structures built in therein. Government rehabilitation efforts still subject of BIATF review. Wetland number 6, located at Sitio Mangayan, Barangay Manok-Manok, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 8.4676 hectares. Type of wetland: swamp, lagoon. Wetland number 6 is continuously rehabilitated and developed through the joint efforts of DENR and Boracay Tubig System Incorporated. Wetland number 7, located at Sitio Lugutan, Barangay Manok-Manok, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 6.8623 hectares. Type of wetland: swamp, pond. Wetland number 7 is continuously being monitored by the DENR. Wetland number 8, located at Sitio Cagban-Bubon, Barangay Manok-Manok, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 5.6102 hectares. Type of wetland: swamp, marsh. Wetland number 8 is continuously rehabilitated and improved through the joint efforts of DENR and JG Summit Petrochemical Corporation. Wetland number 9, located at Sitio Cagban, Barangay Manok-Manok, Boracay Island, Malayaklan, with an area of 0.9 hectares. Type of wetland: swamp, marsh. Wetland number 9 is continuously being monitored by the DENR. What are the importance of wetlands? Purify water and filter waste, provide wildlife habitat, reduce coastal storm damage, provide recreational and tourism opportunities. Purify water and filter waste. Wetlands act as a natural water purifier, filtering sediment and absorbing many pollutants in surface waters. Provide wildlife habitat. Wetlands provide habitat for many species of amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals that are uniquely adapted to aquatic environments. Reduce coastal storm damage. Coastal wetlands help to blunt the force of major storms. It reduces flooding, coastal erosion, and property damage during storms. Provide recreational and tourism opportunities. Many wetlands contain a diversity of plants, animals, and water features that provide beautiful places for sightseeing, hiking, fishing, hunting, boating, bird watching, and photography. No to encroachment. Section 78 of Presidential Decree 705, or Revised Forestry Code of the Philippines as amended, punishes a person destroying a wetland legally classified as forest land and can be penalized with imprisonment and fine. Protect our wetlands and be a wetland conservation warrior. Save Boracay.